All right, guys, welcome to the Buff Show. I'm excited to introduce you guys to Adam and Melody Stuart. So we're going to have kind of a different episode today. We're not going to be going over the traditional real estate stuff. These guys have a crazy journey they're about to embark on, and I wanted to bring them on. We met through real estate. I helped them sell their house. So anyways, tell us a little bit about you guys and what you're about to do.
Go for it.
You want me to jump on it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, we've got a good background in real estate. That's where we kind of both started our careers after college. But, well, that's kind of
Did
side.
you? No, let's jump into that because I want to hear about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so while I was in college, I met a guy. I'm trying to even think of how I did, but I ended up being like his assistant. And so we were, I would help write up his contracts and then
really?
took over the property management firm and ran that all through high school. High school.
College.
Yeah. Yeah, we ended up doing a bunch of HOAs and rentals all throughout the northern
That's crazy.
Utah.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah. So got my
surprised.
license and sold real estate for a little while. And then you were working for Brandy.
Mm-hmm. So I started at Mountain Luxury,
Mhm.
and I was doing short sales.
Yeah.
Like, that was my expertise, like fighting the banks in the 2008
Yeah.
crazy, you know?
Brandy.
And
No, it's good. I love Brandon.
Yeah, we all love Brandy.
and so I worked there, and it was so much fun. I
Yeah.
had so much fun working for her and
Yeah.
just being in that market. And so,
I mean, it's amazing the opportunities that you can get and afford through real estate.
oh my gosh, yeah.
So you guys are you sold your house, and what are you about to do? And when is it? It's like in a few days, right?
Yeah. So, all right, we'll just jump in. So last July, June, we sold our house. We've lived in the Valley for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm from the Valley, but we've lived up there forever. And we've got 4 boys, 13, 10, 8, and 5, and sold everything. Like, we're in the process of selling everything. And on Monday, we leave to New York for a couple days. And then on Wednesday night, we leave to Norway. And the plan is to not be back in the U.S. Until July of next year. So
That is wild.
10
That is
and a
our
half
plan.
months of travel scheduled. Melody says a year, and we'll round up to a year.
Yeah.
I would like a year,
I would still count it. You're
I
close
think so.
enough.
Yeah.
Round up.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Might as well.
So why? Like, that's crazy.
It's a good question. So we were talking about this. We've actually told this story quite a bit, but the background is 2018. I have a really good friend from high school that did the same thing. They took 6 months and hit 6 countries. And it was just watching her like spend time with her kids and a relationship with her spouse and then exploring these different cultures and places. I just was like enthralled with her Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to her, and her husband worked remotely for a while, and I was having kind of a tough year with work, and I kind of just came home one day and I said, hey, look, I just want to talk about this. Like, would you be interested in setting up so we could do it? And you did. Like, you were all in. People ask me about that. Like, how did you feel about it when we just brought it to you?
Yes. My Viking heart was happy.
Yeah. You're like, let's
I
do
was
it.
like, yes, let's go. Can we go right now? Like,
Yeah.
let's leave.
Yeah.
So it was easy. It was an easy decision.
But how long ago was that you guys had that talk?
5 years.
2018.
Oh, really?
So then,
5 years ago. That's crazy.
yes, we really, 5 years, every quarter, every commission, every paycheck, we'd put a little bit of money aside for 5 years. And the joke was always we were going to do some big landscaping project with it or actually go for it.
Yeah.
And I think it was about a year ago, we were like, we'd kick ourselves as every time we'd looked out and saw this beautiful landscaping and be like, we didn't go on the trip for that
Right.
tree.
Yeah.
You know? And so we said, let's do this.
Yeah.
And so
'Cause money's just money.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
my uncle, I'm sure he wasn't the one that came up with it, but I remember in just he's like one of my mentors.
Yeah.
And he said, any problem that can be solved with money isn't actually a problem.
Right.
I've
That
loved
is-
that
that
so
is
much.
very
I've just
true.
held on
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
And so, so that's how we kind of set that. And then I told my job about a month ago that I'm going to bounce. And it's not,
And you're not just like bouncing, like you're not still working remotely. You're like, you're
Yeah.
done. You're not working at all, right?
I think there's a lot of ways to do that.
Yes.
'Cause
That's the answer.
that's
Yes.
easy.
He is not working
you
at all.
could have kept working, but
Yeah.
why are you
Yeah.
not working?
No, so, oh man.
We're getting deep.
No, we are. We are.
Getting juicy.
I've worked in pretty intense sales environment for 15 years.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it's actually like invigorating and fulfilling. It's intense. And I just had this question of like, what else is there, or do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that I think can do something on the side and maybe build a side hustle. And that's just not how I'm wired. I'm just kind of all in on something. Yeah. And so this was really important to us. And I think that's what we've talked about, kind of a North Star, what, your true north. And our family and these experiences is actually something that's become so important to us. And so for me, got the money set aside. Let's do this. Let's take a break.
I kind of reevaluate everything. Like, yeah. And
like a reset button.
Yeah.
Totally. I turn 40 next year. And so I'm like, I just mid-career, let's just take a breather and make sure this is what I want to do, or maybe give myself some space to explore something else.
No, that is awesome. So you guys are that couple that was your inspiration for you guys 5 years ago. That's you guys for me and Carly, because we're...
Stop.
No, dead
Stop
serious.
it.
Because we're like, that's
you guys
it.
are like the coolest people.
No, that's this, like what you guys are doing. We just like started talking about it a year, maybe 2 years ago. We're like, this would be really cool to just be able to like take off for that, period of time and kind of reset and like reevaluate. Because life is just, you get in these ruts and it just feels like you keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it's easy to feel like you grow distant from your kids and like you're just in a rut. But I feel like this kind of snaps you out of it. Anyways, I think it's so cool what you guys are doing. And I'm excited I'm excited that you guys get to go pave the way, and then you can come back and be like,
tell you what not to
yeah, be like, this worked, this
Those
didn't
are the
work.
potholes not to step in.
Yeah. So can you tell us about like the plan so far? Like what's your itinerary?
Ooh,
You got it.
that's a hard one.
Doesn't have to be like perfect, because you're
Okay.
probably still like,
Yeah, like we're
Finalizing
kind of,
stuff.
so we for sure are going to Norway,
yeah.
and we're going there because we have ancestors from there.
Oh,
So
sweet.
like my great grandparents, they came over,
Yeah.
and his did too, but in different areas of Norway.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of convenient that we're there, like that his are there too. So we're doing like family history more so in Norway.
Yeah.
And then we jump down to Europe. And as of right now, we're doing Germany for about 3 weeks. And then we go to Paris and then Rome. And
That
those
is
are
so
just like
cool.
going to be like our,
Mhm.
like our central spots. And then we'll just kind of
Bounce around. Do you have like long-term Airbnbs in these spots, or like
Those
already
ones.
picked out?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
They're picked out, but not.
You haven't like booked them yet?
Yeah.
We've got maybe the first 6 weeks locked in,
Okay.
and we're kind of realizing there's an opportunity with Airbnbs that prices don't fluctuate, and as you get closer, there's actually some deals you can get.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
So, and then if you book for longer than 30 days, there's always a 30-day discount that comes down 10 or 15%.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. So food for thought.
Yeah. So, and some places you'll be longer, like what's the duration that you'll think you'll be in each place on average?
I think originally we had planned on being, like, the goal was we don't want to feel like we're on vacation for a year because
Yeah.
we can't afford that.
Right.
First off.
Yeah.
This is not
And-
vacation money.
Yeah.
This is living money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go on a trip to Hawaii for a week and you realize how much you spent. Like, there's no way we could do
Right.
that. So we wanted to be in a place that you could kind of post up. We're not gonna have a car. We're not gonna rent cars unless it's like a day trip or something like that.
Oh.
We're not gonna have a month long. So we want to take the trains and actually be in some of these places. And so we're doing homeschool, and so we wanted to lock in and have a schedule.
Yeah.
So keep the big transfers from one place to the next as few as possible.
Right.
At the first of our trip, it's just not going to be like that. Norway's really expensive,
Yeah.
and that was like a bucket list we had to hit there. So the first little bits we're going to be moving around, but then we'll kind of slow down and do a month or 6 weeks in each place as we trail off.
As you probably get into cheaper places. to
Mhm.
be-
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
it's crazy as you travel. Like, we went to Vietnam one time, and it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can get an hour massage for $8. Like,
Yes.
incredible. And then we went to Hawaii, and I'm like, I didn't love Hawaii
Yeah.
because it was so expensive, and I felt like I was looking for more culture there, and they're like,
Yeah.
this is America still. Like, what do you,
Yeah.
you know?
What do you want from us?
Yeah. So, no, that is awesome. So what countries do you have kind of lined out right now?
So after Europe, then actually this is probably a good place. The reason we picked these out is we had the boys. we had a little family council and said, we're going to do this. We've talked about that throughout, as we've been planning it. We got real serious about it a year ago. We had the boys do a report. So each of them kind of made PowerPoints or Google Slides, and they had to say, like, what?
Wait, but first we made them look up the safest places.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had a list. So, like, what's safe for America to go to? So they had a list to choose from.
Yeah,
and
so
then they
it's
could pick from those.
Yeah.
it's like travel.state.gov, and
Yeah.
they're like, anything that's in the green.
So they're not like
Go
going
to.
to like Afghanistan.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No
Like
Russia right now.
We're not doing that.
No Ukraine. Yeah, so they kind of picked their places, and we picked ours, different places like that, and then just have lined it out and what made the most sense for a travel itinerary.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet.
So,
Yeah.
And so your kids
they're
were able to
stoked.
like be involved.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
How have they handled the whole, like, how are they feeling right now?
The excitement in our house is at like a level 10.
Is it?
Yeah, they're ready. Like we've been talking about this for so long, and we told the boys last year. Was it?
yeah.
I think we've given them a year,
Yeah.
and we said like don't tell anyone until we're 6 months or whatever,
Yeah.
And so they've had a year to prepare. So this has not been like a surprise,
Right.
and they've like kind of had the chance, I guess, to like say goodbye. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And so now they're just like,
They're like, let's go.
we've been talking about this for
Yeah.
so long. Can we just next step?
Yeah. I feel like all my kids are a little bit younger than yours, but I feel like they're in a spot too where it's not like they're missing out on their senior year or
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
junior. Like they're still young enough that they
It's
can come
okay.
back and like jump right back into things, you
Mhm.
know?
Our oldest is 13, and we're like, when we scheduled this out 5 years ago, we said, when's the latest, like, what's our window?
Yeah.
When will we have enough money,
Yeah.
and what's the window? And we kind of said, so Urban is in 7th grade now.
Uh-huh.
And like, 9th grade's rough because he's probably on a high school lacrosse team at that point or
Right.
something, even though you're junior high. So we kind of said between like 22 to 24 is the
Window.
That's
Is
the window.
go. Yeah.
and
Because
so
you don't want to interfere with high school.
No.
Or at least we didn't. We
Right.
didn't want to interfere with it.
Right. Well, and it's true. Like your freshman and sophomore year just kind of suck, but then like
Yeah.
junior and senior year, those are fun to be around for.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same. Like Kadri's turning 8, so we're like when she's between 12 and 16 is kind of when I
Yep,
think we
that's
would
it.
want to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like on the same page.
Yep.
you start seeing him like it makes sense too. Like it's the time where friends are getting to be really important.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been on board.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll tell the little story. This is my favorite thing. We were talking about it. We have had this idea, just kind of the same with my job. I'm gonna leave, and I want to be able to be really open to whatever the next step is.
Yeah.
I have built a great career, and I've been so grateful to be part of it, what we've done. But I can come back to it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not it either.
Yeah.
I've really wanted that open thing, and we've joked about, and I don't think it was actually a joke when we were saying this, but we said if we're out in Germany and an opportunity comes, we got to be open to maybe it makes sense to stay.
Yeah.
That that doesn't feel right, but we
Right.
were just saying let's just make sure hearts
Yeah.
are open.
Yeah.
And Urban heard us saying that to a friend. Urban's our 13-year-old, and he called like a family council between us and him, just like a sit down talk. And he was like, "Hey, I'm in. We're going. I'm all in.
But I'm not staying.
But I gotta know we're coming home."
Oh man, no, that's funny. It is cool. I do think that's probably going to be pretty hard for you going from like these high stress, you've been so busy for so long to like not doing as much.
Not doing
you know?
anything.
Yeah, like it's like what do you want to do? And focusing on your family too. It's not that you won't be doing anything, but you won't be doing the things that you've always
Mhm.
trained yourself to do.
And has brought success, right? Like
Right,
that,
yeah.
This is. I know there's an equation here that if I follow this, that it
Yeah.
works. And
And
so, yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
We heard a phrase. I don't know how long ago, 6 months ago, that if you're hard charged and so like narrow minded towards a goal,
Yeah.
that you have to make space for something special to happen.
Right.
You might get exactly what you're aiming at,
Yeah.
but if you're so laser focused on that one goal,
Uh-huh.
then maybe you don't
Hey,
actually
miss-
see something bigger.
Right.
And so Melody made this little thing for it. It says make space for the miracle. And I think that's something that we're just like, I really want to. I don't think I would be able. This job the way I'm just wired is so
Yeah.
focused
Yeah.
that I really want to open up.
Leave more room for Jesus.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I love it.
like, so that's kind of like we were talking. If we didn't have Jesus, this would be terrifying.
Right.
Because it's like we're doing the unknown.
Yeah.
And so to know that he's in our back pocket is just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's faith.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
a leap of faith. You're stepping off the edge and you're like, I don't know where we're going or what we're doing.
Yes.
But and the people you'll meet, like that's gonna be so
yeah,
cool
it'll
too.
be fun. It'll be
Yeah.
really interesting.
That like I think that'll be the hardest thing for me too, because I'm wired to like go nonstop to the point where like my body can't even keep up, and then I'll like break down and then I'll like get back up and keep going.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
like to go to like to be able to be in this spot where it's like I'm going to just go and hang out and like maybe sleep in a little bit, maybe like because for me I'd rather get 4 hours of sleep and get up and go
oh my
do
gosh,
like
you guys are the same person.
yeah, I'm just like
oh my gosh.
sleep doesn't matter to me. Keeping to my routine and my schedule is more important. But there's this gal I know. She's like, Peyton, there's like the yin and the yang. Like you're way, I can't remember which one's which, but you're like way too go nonstop. There's summer, spring, and fall. Like there's seasons to life, and there's time to go, and there's time to like sit back and rest and sit by the fire, and
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so
Ooh, I like that.
I like it.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time with those seasons, but
We just sold our Peloton. Like we've sold everything in
Yeah.
our lives, but there's our favorite Peloton instructor, Matt Wilpers, says like you can't be at a 10 level of fitness all year long.
right.
You can't. There's race season and then
Mhm.
there's off season.
That's interesting.
And in the off season, you have to like let it come back and then build back up. You don't let
Right.
it go,
Right.
but you don't train at race intensity all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you just be miserable, sore, and like
I don't think you actually like in order
Yeah.
to peak, you have to come off.
it's
and
true. Your
Mhm.
body has to rest. That's interesting. I've never thought about it like that. No, that's exciting. So, what scares you the most about this adventure, and what are you most excited for?
Oh, you got it.
Let's start.
wanna
with
hear
this.
yours.
Let's start with like what scares you the most.
I think what scares me the most is I guess it's just an adjustment, but like we're not busy. Like we don't have anything to do, and I kind of want to keep. I like to be. I don't know. I like to go,
Yeah.
and so to just sit and just like sit in the quiet.
Mm-hmm.
It's or like I don't know. Just trying to keep the kids occupied. Like
Right.
that's what scares me the most.
Right.
Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
And like adjusting to the silence.
Yeah.
Because like right now, like fall is our busiest season.
Mhm.
Like we've got football and lacrosse,
Yeah.
and so it's practice. You're just running.
Yeah.
All the kids everywhere, you know.
And so you're taking off during that time, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be
Like oh man,
Yeah.
like now we're just quiet and like. And what if we get sick of each other? How are we
Right,
gonna?
yeah.
Which we will. Like,
Oh,
how do
for
we
sure.
handle that?
Yeah.
And like, so there's just like this whole, I don't know,
Yeah.
realm of things that I'm just like with that same area.
yeah.
What are we gonna do?
You look at it and you're like, man, going on vacation or doing this would be so fun and so easy. But then when you actually like dive into it, it's actually like it.
Oh.
You could even argue it's harder than just staying at home. You know?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You-
that's
you
my.
get really comfortable, with your routines.
Right.
And even if it's busy and crazy,
Yeah.
it's your
It's
it's
your
like my
routine.
crazy. I
Yeah.
can handle my crazy.
Yeah, you're used to it versus like, hey, in a few more weeks we're going to be in this other place, and then it's like
Mhm.
resetting
Mhm.
over and over and over again. Because every time you
Yeah.
leave, you're probably going to be feeling similar emotions to leaving now. I mean, not
Yes.
as strong, but that's what I felt like in my
Yes.
mission between transfers. I'm like, man, I like the people here. I like my comp. I like the area. I know the places I like to eat, And then you're like, well, you're going to a different area.
Yes.
Just rip it out.
Yeah.
Let me rip your heart out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What scares you the most, Adam?
I think I've
The no soda.
No,
That's you.
sir.
That's you. Don't speak for me. She's worried that they're not going to be soda. I think Coca-Cola
I
is
know.
worldwide.
I am
You'll
a
be all
little
right.
worried.
Yeah.
But I'm not scared. I'm
Yeah.
just worried. Okay.
You'll probably find something you like better, and then you'll come back here and be like, man, all the
We gotta go
drinks here
back."
suck. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to add on that, kind of what you're saying about there's going to be a lot of downtime, and I'm excited about that actually, though. I've got that personality to, go, but I'm excited to just be exploring.
Yeah.
Like maybe use that same intensity towards exploring. That'll be good. I think what I've actually had a hard time with is every time you move, you sell a bunch of stuff and get rid of stuff and you downsize. So when we sold our house last year, we moved into a rental. We got rid of a bunch of stuff. And right now we took everything we own and we've the last few things are just in our a shipping container that we put on our piece of property. And that's been slimming down. And today we're selling our car. On Saturday we're selling our other car.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
So it's like everything.
Everything.
and so then like
Like
I'm
we
looking.
can't come back.
yeah.
Burning the bridges.
Yeah.
Seriously. So then I'm looking at like we're trimming down Melody's the last one to pack her bags because she's
my
having a
God.
hard time of the last few things.
I
But-
cannot decide because we only are taking carry-on.
Yeah.
So
That's it. Carry on?
yes,
There's 6 carry-ons in front of our fireplace right now. 5
that's all
because
you're
yours
gonna
isn't
bring?
packed.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't get it packed.
So 6. There'll be 6 carry-ons and 6 backpacks,
Yeah.
and we're taking one like duffel bag that has the boys' lacrosse stuff because
Oh
they
my
really
gosh.
want to be able to not
It's just so
lose their
practice.
skills. So
Yeah.
I would say that's actually I'm nervous to not have our stuff.
Yeah.
On vacation, it doesn't matter because you're going home.
Yeah.
We're living out of a suitcase for a year, and
Yeah.
that's going to be that.
Not even a suitcase.
Not
A
even-
carry-on
Yeah,
bag.
not even a
Yeah.
suitcase.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
that's right.
Exactly.
That is wild.
Uh,
That's how we travel, though. Like when me and Carly would travel, we always just bring a carry-on. Like it's nice to go light, especially if you're moving around a lot. Like everything's on your back.
yeah.
I
The
think
concept is nice.
I know. Until you're like, crap, I really want that. But
Yeah,
you'll be able to find anything really.
I know.
My-
And that's what I have to remember.
So my mom's the worst. I talked to her this morning about like we went on this road trip across the U.S. We stopped and ate out once. She like had casseroles frozen in
Oh,
like
that's
Do you have a motorhome?
amazing.
yeah, we had
Okay.
a motorhome. She's just like the ultra planner. So like when I went on my
Oh my
mission,
God.
she's like, you need this and this and this. I'm like, Mom, I'm pretty sure they have stores in the DR. Like I'll be okay. If I need socks, I'll just go buy some. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'll be right.
They're going on the trip this weekend, and she's like, I have all the meals planned. I'm like, Mom, it's funny.
Oh my gosh, that is
But
so
it,
fun.
it is cool to go the exact opposite and go like super light. Cause I was raised to like bring everything
Mhm.
and like, I don't like it weighs you down. So now I'm like the opposite where it's just like as light as you can be. And if you need something, just stop and buy it. Cause there's a cost to like storage and travel and carrying. Like
Mhm.
if you're packing extra socks that you don't need right now, you can just buy some there and
Yeah.
like there's a lot of cost to like try and pack those around with you all the time. But I am surprised for a year that you're just bringing carry-ons. So that's pretty cool.
Well, we are lucky because like the first 6 months of our travels, it's like fall weather.
Yeah.
So it's not like
You don't need
the
a ton.
weather fluctuates, you
Yeah.
know. So we are lucky, like, well, not lucky. We did kind of plan it so
Yeah.
we wouldn't have to be extreme heat or freezing cold, you know.
Yeah.
But still, it's still hard
Yeah.
to choose things.
So with all your stuff that you've stored, like what did you decide what you're going to keep? Like all the clothes that you're not going to bring, are you getting rid of those too, or are you keeping some of them?
It was bare necessities, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just been. I mean, that's a whole. First, your kids are always growing,
Yeah.
and so we're in a weird stage that we would have been doing back to school outfits, and it's this whole change season.
Yeah.
And so that's been like the boys. Just we bought them the new stuff that they need, and then a lot of their stuff's probably just worn out from the summer.
But we did pack, like, are you saying what we packed in storage?
Yeah. What you
Yeah.
pack in
Oh.
storage?
So we packed like all of their clothes. I told Adam, I realized packing this and putting it in storage that like they're not going to even wear these clothes again.
Yeah.
But I think mentally for them to know,
We're coming back.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and like these are my clothes. This
Yeah.
is my stuff. And I told them like, what do you want to pack? What do you want to DI? And they want to pack all this stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's like, I just don't want. This is a big deal for them too.
Yeah.
Like they have little feelings, and I want them to feel comfortable.
For sure.
And so I was like, half of our shipping container is going to go to the DI when we get home.
Right. Just
Like,
go through everything.
yeah.
And they'll be like,
Like,
this
I
is all
already
too
know it.
small now.
And yes, exactly. But it's like we packed all of their stuff.
Which, how you set that up is amazing because, like, you guys have a lot close to where I live. And I drove by one day and I see this really cool, like, mural. Stay Wild, right?
Stay wild.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. And so you guys bought a shipping container, put it on your lot, and then had your sister do like
Mhm.
this really cool mural on it, and that's where you're going to store everything.
Mm-hmm.
Genius.
Yeah.
And,
So
and it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's the cheaper way to go.
Right.
well, last year when we sold our house, there wasn't a storage unit available in the valley. So
Oh
the
my
closest
gosh.
one was 15 miles away.
Yeah.
And we just said, okay, what's the other option? So we probably overpaid because everything was expensive last year, but
yeah.
just put it out there, and it's It's a 30. We have everything we own in a 30-foot
Oh my gosh.
shipping container.
My dad loves those because they're like, he has some for tools and stuff. They're like rodent proof. Like they're
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
like you seal it and
And it's done.
yeah, you don't
We
have
had,
to worry about
I mean,
anything.
the biggest winter we've ever had, this last
Yeah.
year, and I drove out on a snowmobile on it, and it's toasty in there. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's a big
Really?
And there
metal
wasn't
thing.
any
It's like-
water.
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was stayed dry and haven't had a problem. It's been
That is
great.
crazy. No, that's cool. So what, well, let's just say we fast forward a year. You guys are just getting home. Like, what do you hope that to have accomplished from your trip?
My personal thing is just being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just being more open and like not letting little things annoy me,
Mhm.
and just being like, okay,
Yeah.
this is life, enjoy it.
Yeah. Almost like being, so there's this guy I love that I just came across, Alex Hermosi, and he's like, well, him and Stephen Covey. So Stephen Covey says all frustration comes from unmet expectations. And I feel like in life, that's all we have are these expectations like, oh, I should live till I'm 100, or I should always be, happy and healthy and all these things. But when that doesn't happen, say you have like an unexpected death in the family or something tragic happens, because we have those expectations, like it just crushes us. And I think in life, I mean, we have thousands of them that we just like expect life to be certain ways, when in reality, life isn't anything like that.
Right.
So you're almost like training yourself to be okay with not being in control and just like rolling with the punches
Yes.
as they come. And by doing that, you'll just be like, yeah, I don't, like every day's a gift kind of thing, and just being grateful for where you're at. And
That's a way prettier way to say it. Yes.
I've been
That is
think-
it.
Nailed it.
That
I've
is
been
it.
thinking about it a lot because it's so true. It's like,
Mhm.
we just have these preconceived notions of how we think things should be, and
Mhm.
life doesn't roll that way. So if you can let that go and just, and that's what these trips will teach you, is how to let that happen.
I think also like what we've noticed is like almost like our kids don't know how to play.
Yeah,
Just go out and throw a rock. Like growing
Uh-huh.
up, you weren't allowed to come inside
right.
during the summer.
Yeah.
Like you drink out of the hose.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you just play outside. You
Yeah.
stay outside. And we've noticed that with our kids, if we say go outside, they're like, well, what are we supposed to do? And
Yeah.
we're like, play.
yeah,
And so then we'll tell them things to do, and then they'll do it, and they'll be like, oh, that was so much fun, like
Yeah.
running around the house or playing Gig the Cat,
yeah,
And so I'm really excited for them to have, because they'll also have a break from the PlayStation
oh,
and,
for sure.
and so to show them, like, this is what playing is.
Yeah.
This is what adventure looks like.
When you guys have them, don't you have them in a lacrosse team somewhere?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
so they're going to be going to these different places and learning from.
Different.
That's what's been so wild, is that you think about how small the world can be.
Yeah,
Social media and just the internet makes things so accessible. We went to the World Lacrosse Championships in San Diego this year just to watch the top teams, top countries play. And we just met a bunch of like the Italian team and the Japanese team, and just followed them on Instagram and sent them a note like, hey, we're going to be in Tokyo in March. Do you guys have a U13 and a U10 team that would be playing that we could have our kids pop into practice? And they've been like, sure.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And so our kids are so excited about that. And to that point, I'm really excited to engage with other people.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite thing about what I've done professionally and just in life is people.
Yeah,
And just seeing people that I'm really excited to show myself, you, the kids, and just experience that there's great people everywhere,
Yeah.
really special people. I'm looking forward to making those connections.
no, you're going to have so many cool connections when you get home. And like you said, like opportunities, whereas if you kept your job and you were still working and everything like that, you might be missing out on some of the good stuff that might potentially come from this trip. Do you have any like courses or things that you're like, I'm going to read this book, or I'm going to take this course, or dive into this, or learn that?
I'll get to that. Yeah. I think what's been interesting is preparing for it has kind of, we've looked at each other in our relationship and said, ooh, that's going to be a lot to spend that much time with each other.
Yeah.
Or
So we started marriage counseling.
Yeah.
we did about a
Yeah.
year ago.
And we've been
do
like
little
going every other
check-ins.
week.
Yeah, it's not-
Sometimes once a month.
Yeah.
we just kind of hit it. And that's been actually, I don't know, I'm just thinking about that. Like in general, I wish I would have done that sooner, not had this catalyst to say, it's not like we've ever had huge problems,
Right.
but we just had little bumps into things to say, man, that's a sticky point that if it's just us and I can't go to work or go on a work
Right.
trip for 3 or 4 days to get
Yeah.
away from you,
Right.
I got to figure this
Yeah.
out.
No, that is so true.
And so, I think that I would just say, we've prepared and put, and the therapist is actually like marriage counselor has been awesome. I bought the masterclass subscription, and I've like got just been following these. We love Blake Lively. Is that her name? Sarah Blakely.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we
Blake
go.
Lively
Yeah.
also.
Blake-
Yeah.
No, but Sarah Blakely, the owner of Spanx, and
Mhm.
just like we watched the masterclass together and just watched what she did, and that's just got my gears turning. I've been a professional salesperson forever, and then just saying what else is new. So I think I'm gonna lock in on that type of stuff.
No, that is so cool. So, what other things have you guys done to prepare? Like, I wouldn't have ever thought of like preparing your relationship for
Mhm.
the stresses of like what you're about to go into. It's almost
Yes.
like you're going, mission, going back to that, like you're stuck with the same companion all the time, like you never really leave their side, and that's what you're going into. But with kids, which, like, you almost have to have the right mentality of, hey, this is going to be really hard, but we're here to learn and grow together, and the kids are going to learn so much. So like letting them go through all the emotions of what they're going to be feeling as like it gets hard and difficult and challenging.
Mhm.
But is there anything else that you've like done to prepare
I think
mentally or emotionally or?
financially is the one thing, right? Like
Yeah.
that's where my head goes.
Yeah.
Husband, father. We've obviously we
We've
kind
done
of covered.
therapy separate together.
I think. God, what else?
What about languages?
I haven't done much there.
Yeah, Google Translate.
Yeah,
you're
that's
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're just leaning heavily on Google Translate.
We've got
And a lot of places do speak English.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like we are lucky there.
right.
Yeah.
Well, when we went to Vietnam, and because most of the time when we travel, it's somewhere Spanish speaking, and I can get away, get around there pretty easy. But like Vietnam, I'm like, I have no idea. But Google Translate was incredible. We'd like talk into there and then be like, show it
Yeah.
to them, and then they would listen, and then they'd talk back. So I think
That's
I think you'll be fine
We
there.
live in such a cool time.
I know.
Like we have Airbnbs and Google Translate. Like
Yeah.
it's so much easier to travel now.
And it's so, like, people are accustomed to it too. Because you think back to, like, the Vietnam War, like, if my grandparents were, like, when we told them we were going to go to Vietnam, they're like, you're not going to come back. Like, that's a dangerous place. But they were, like, some of the nicest people.
Really.
Such a cool country. And that's
awesome.
probably a place that we'll go when we go on our trip, take our kids there. It's my philosophy on the trip. And one thing that, let me ask you this. Are you having anybody else come out and stay with you, like at different periods of time? Or
So-
like friends or family or?
I don't think we finished the different places. So a lot,
Yeah.
right? So we did. So after Europe, we're going to spend Christmas in Jerusalem, and so we'll be in Israel then, and then we're bouncing to Thailand. We'll be there from kind of the first part of the year, and then we're going to Japan. We're gonna hit a ski day or two in northern
And
Japan.
the cherry blossoms.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to Australia, and then our last stop is Peru. And so there really is kind of a world tour all the way around.
Unless we can squeeze in Costa Rica at the end.
Yeah.
Costa Rica is amazing.
That's
I love it.
I kind of want to, depending on when we have to be back for lacrosse tryouts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
if
our
we
end.
can squeeze in Costa Rica, that would be awesome.
Have you felt like it's like you don't have enough time for everything?
Yeah.
that you-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
1,000%.
like everybody, like someone like you, I've been to Vietnam. You got to go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
You're right there in Thailand, and
Yeah.
it's like,
or
yeah,
Amsterdam. Like
Yeah.
everyone like wants you to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like I have to tell people like this isn't the only time we're going to travel.
Yeah. Yeah. you'll
Like
have to-
we will see that eventually.
You're gonna turn into like the
Like-
bucket list family. You'll just be like,
oh man, those guys.
Yeah,
have
if
got
we
it
could
made.
get
These guys
sponsors,
kinda
that would be
killed it.
cool.
They've done great. No, so
Okay,
to that
sorry.
point, like we've got all these cool places, and as we've shared with friends and family where we're going and timelines, there's quite a few people that have said we'll meet you in Japan, or
That's
we'll meet
so
you.
cool.
And we've really wanted to go to Australia.
yeah.
So
Because when me and Car were talking about it, I was like, it would be cool. I think like our strategy right now, we don't have places picked out, but we're gonna go anywhere from, I think 6 weeks. I was originally thinking just like a month, but like 6 weeks. Because on my mission, I was like, 6 weeks. That's a transfer. It went by so fast, and like even after 6 weeks, sometimes I felt like I didn't get to know the area. Like, and that was just like a tiny little area, you know.
random little city, little
Yeah. So we'll rent a place somewhere for like 6 weeks, and then every one of those, we'll invite my parents or Carly's parents or my brother,
That's cute.
whoever. And then
Yeah.
you're like, it'd just be cool because you're in a cool spot with your family, spending time with your family, but then you also have somebody that your top 8 closest people coming out and like seeing you at these different points, and then like they're part of that trip too, which would be cool. So I love that you're doing that.
It's hard because, like I hope, we haven't done it yet, so I hope to inspire other people to take a shot at something that they've been thinking about because, oh man, we've talked about how this has required a lot of courage, and it's taken a lot to build up to have the courage to actually do it.
Yeah.
Like we could go into the moment of like telling my work that I was going to quit.
Yeah.
It's just really hard.
Right.
We spend a lot of my identity was wrapped up in that, but now that we're doing it, there's so much momentum and like fire behind it that's so exciting. But it's funny to see like we have friends, my little brother, one of Melody's brothers that obviously would come. Like it's just that of course they're gonna come.
Yeah.
You just know their personalities. We've had some other people kind of out of the woodworks. Melody's got a sister who's a little nervous about
traveling
and getting on a plane by herself.
And she doesn't really like people.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'll meet you in Paris.
And you're like,
And we're like, okay,
yeah,
that would be awesome.
See you there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, with that specifically, and then maybe someone takes a shot at doing something on their own. That's really like inspiring because that's been hard for us. And we were inspired by my friend Jenny, and that's an idea.
I think you will. Like you definitely. I'm like, oh, Stuarts are doing it. We can we can do it. We can get the plan like rolling. What's some of like as you tell people what you're doing? Like I'm sure you get all sorts of different like responses and stuff.
Like my mom and dad were not happy.
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing?
No. Like my dad's biggest worry was like, you're taking the kids away from lacrosse and their friends. Like, just leave the kids with us. You and Adam go travel for a year. We'll raise them. Yeah, my dad's 85.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you raising my kids.
Yeah.
But he's like so worried that they're gonna get so behind in sports.
Right.
But now he's come around, like, because I think now he knows we're going.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, whatever, fine.
And
like, go have fun.
You're bringing the lacrosse bag, and you're going to play with.
Your kids are going with you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is so cool.
But it's mixed.
Yeah,
there's a lot of mix.
A lot of people. I mean, most people have just been like, "Oh my gosh, I would love to do that."
Right.
And then you see the wheels start turning.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we all think about it. We've all wondered if maybe we could do something. And yeah. Work has been awesome with me. I can't give like enough. Once they realized that I wasn't going to a competitor, that like this is the real reason we're leaving. There's been so many people that have said that's cool.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I think it's only a time period too. It's a year. So even if I came back and just doing exactly what I'm doing, nothing. I mean, our hearts change, or we become different people. But in the grand scheme of things, money and all that stuff works out.
Yeah, it's not like you're missing that much by not doing this.
Yeah.
And it's weird how attainable it is if you plan for it. I mean, obviously, if you were like, oh, in a month I want to go travel for a year, like, you probably couldn't do that. But having like a 5-year plan or a 3-year, like, it's actually fairly doable if you like just start planning it out.
For sure.
When we first got married, we had some really good friends that just out of nowhere took the Dave Ramsey like financial planning course, personal finance course, and we laughed because growing up we just didn't know what a family budget was. We just weren't involved in those decisions, and so we just joined this. Was it 6 weeks? Maybe even 8 weeks.
No, yeah, I think at the time it was like 12.
Yeah, but so every Tuesday night for 10 or 12 weeks, we went to this course about how to set up your life financially. And he is such a safe thinker about 20% down on a house and 15-year mortgages, and that's just what we grew up with. That was our first financial model that we followed, and I think that actually is probably what got us here, because then 5 years ago we're like, okay, if we're gonna do this, we penciled out how much it was gonna cost. Here's on not just money but everything,
because you still need to live,
right?
Yeah. And so it's like I don't want to like not sacrifice, but like, I don't know.
We're not going to go be the family.
I'm not going to go
I was just going to say backpacks and carry-ons. Wait.
Yeah. That is it. But like, I'm not going to give up my vacations to save for this.
Right.
And so
So we had to do it like in a way that we could still live but still save.
Yeah.
So we just put enough money aside, or a percentage or whatever it was, just to keep getting close, and then it just works out.
No, that is so cool. What's some of the setbacks you've experienced, like
Like
already moving
losing your
in.
wallet.
Yeah, I know. I saw that you posted. You're like, not a good time to lose my driver's license.
So we're in the middle, like full on move mode. You know,
Yeah.
everything's boxes are everywhere, and we ran down we had an errand to run, grab lunch, came home, and my wallet disappeared in the time just from paying out of a drive-through at Jimmy John's to getting home.
Oh
And
my
it
gosh.
is gone, and I think I threw it away, or it's in a
Or it's
box
packed
that's
up.
packed.
Yeah, you'll
We-
find it when you get back.
Yeah.
Oh, and the tension
Exactly.
between the two of us was like on level 9.
Yeah.
And she finally came in at like 10 o'clock at night that night. We had just lost it that day. And she's like, hey, we've turned the house upside down. We got to go into fix it mode.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is Tuesday and we're leaving on Monday. And so
And
it was
you
like,
kinda need
replace
it.
the cards, overnight them now,
Yeah.
get to the DMV, get a new license. And that's the obvious setback. But I think it's a good foreshadowing of, hey, we can roll with it. Like,
Right.
whatever comes.
That's always how it seems to go,
Mhm.
like last minute.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like very much a signs person. Like
Yeah.
I'm like Jesus speaks to me in signs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a sign. We're not supposed
Yeah,
to go.
we're not.
Like we're making a mistake. We
Yeah.
shouldn't be here right now.
Right.
Like Jesus is trying to tell us not to go.
Yeah.
And then we had a counseling session the next day, and my therapist was like, no, that's not.
It's
You
just-
are
things out of your control.
catastrophizing things
Yeah.
right now. And I was like, oh, I do that. So
Yeah.
it was nice to be like, okay, so this isn't a sign
Eh,
from Jesus.
Yeah. It's just getting you
This
ready.
is just
for,
life.
Yeah.
This is life.
Yeah.
Okay, I can handle life.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
how the trip will go when you're like, oh crap, we missed the flight or something. There's a delay. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like everything's gonna
It's
come your
just
way.
life.
Yeah. Well, I am so excited for you guys. What advice do you have somebody that is listening to this and they're like, hey, that's kind of cool, or like wanting to do something similar? How would they get started? I guess what steps did you guys go through to get the plans in motion?
I think it's probably going to be different for everyone. A year is a long time. Looking back, could we have accomplished it with a 3-month thing? You know, or like I said about my personality is like, I got to be all in.
Yeah.
And so maybe you could do something on the side. Maybe your
Mhm.
dream is just a little different. But I do think we really like kind of vision boarding and dreaming up ideas. And so this was one of those that we said it was kind of just said it was something we said and it grew into. And if that's something that's happening in your life, I think you should listen to that.
Yeah.
I think you should, if there's something that kind of keeps eating at you or is just this running conversation of that would be cool, I think you should put some plans to it. And
Yeah.
it really, we just talked about it. The structure was not crazy. It was,
Yeah.
well, we're way out there 5-6 years out.
Right.
What would we have to do to make it happen? And then a year ago, it's like, we're doing
Make it
this.
happen.
Let's do this. Like, we got the money and
Yeah.
now I got to have the guts to actually, pull away from it, pull out the roots from the things that hold us into everyday life. I'd say just go for it, man.
Yeah. When you need like goals, because like
Mhm.
that's kind of like one of my furthest out goals. For me, it's hard to see like 10 years out, but like 5 years, I can totally see.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of our biggest. I'm like, okay, I have to get like my business and everything to a position where I could take off for a year and like
Mhm.
kind of step away and let things be able to run on autopilot. Maybe check in here and there, but
That's
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
cool.
it's I mean, because I want to do something similar where it's you are unplugging and like kind of reevaluating everything that you're doing, and I don't
Mhm.
know, give space for the inspiration and guidance to like flow,
Yes.
figure stuff out.
Exactly.
Melody's been really big on, like what you just said, is during, you can also live while you're working towards a goal.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, you hear the grind culture of,
Mhm.
just set it all aside and just sacrifice. And there's probably something to that and you probably get it faster,
Yeah.
but she's always been very present and has kind of held me back. Like, hey, look, we've got little kids and they're only little once. So over the last 5 years, it hasn't been, head down, just get to this point.
Yeah.
That I think we've had time to just
Go to
Uh-huh.
Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still live.
Yeah.
And but have this be another goal that you're striving towards too.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
I liked it what you said. It's either landscape, wasn't it a pool? Like we're
Yeah,
gonna
Yeah,
do
it
a
was a
pool.
pool.
Yeah.
I'm really,
We're gonna do
really
a pool.
a pool.
Yeah.
We've got this lot that you're saying, that our containers on,
Yeah.
and we were supposed to be building this year, and so we'll build a house there at some point. And we were saying, well, we'd have the money to just as we're building put in the pool.
Yeah.
And then she said last year, every time we get in that pool,
We'd be
like,
I'm
thinking
gonna
about
be
it.
so
we
mad.
missed,
Yeah.
we missed out on the other thing, on the experience.
It's
But-
not gonna work.
And maybe that pool can be like your next couple
Yeah.
year goal, you know?
Exactly.
Oh,
Just-
we're still gonna get a pool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You'll
Like,
figure out a
this
way.
isn't like a take it easy year. The creative juices, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Let's
That's-
embrace them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's been amazing. Just that like even just, I mean, I'm still employed right now and still working, but even just I'm leaving and it's done. So like setting that aside and just opening up has already started. There's
Yeah.
all sorts of good stuff happening.
yeah. You're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like you're seeing.
Your
things
eyes are
that-
open.
Yeah, yeah. Your eyes are open. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it. Do you guys do vision boards? Do you have like a vision board or things that you put up? And you're
We've
like,
kind of.
We've done them in the past,
yeah,
but
It looks different than it probably did 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
yeah,
You know, we had one of my favorite things we just did was I got a blank piece of paper and I said, will you talk to me about like what your dream financial state would be in 10 years?
yeah,
And she just walked it through like, oh man, this would be cool. And it's dreaming. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
big steps. There's a cool book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting his name right now, but
I
awesome.
never read that.
It's awesome.
Oh.
And the hokey name,
Yeah,
but great book. And one of his big things is like, you don't know what your rich life is unless you think about it.
right.
If not, you'll just live small.
Yeah,
And he kind of gives you permission to say, if you like this, then you should spend money on it.
right.
And why not? Give yourself permission to. And so, what I really loved is she just, hey, in this investments and this much money and this kind of income and
and it's also nice too because then you're not comparing yourself to anyone else.
Right.
it's our dream.
Like
Yeah,
this
it's
is
your
our
dream.
dream. This
Yeah.
is what we want.
Yeah.
And so like everyone's looks different, but this is where we're at.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you ever listened to The Secret by Earl
I
Nightingale?
love The Secret.
Yeah, he's just like, I mean, he basically says we're all just following each other. Like we're a big. I mean, we're just everybody.
Hive mind.
Yeah, everybody's following each other, and we're just doing what we think is you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like one of the biggest reasons, like why we're here, and the purpose of life, is to figure out how to build and create and dream.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, you can have or do or be whatever you want in life. Like I really believe that, and it all just starts with like that thought of like, oh, I could do that, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then you just go out and build it and create it. And
Yeah.
I feel like people miss that, but that's what
Yeah.
you guys are doing.
You have to
So-
think about it.
If you don't give that space for that, then I
Yeah.
don't think you get it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was in this idea. It might have been on that Rich Roll podcast with the Make Space for the Miracles. But like, if you are focused, you might get what you're looking for.
yeah,
Like you might get exactly what you're aiming at,
Right.
but you missed the bigger picture.
right. Yeah,
And that might not have actually been what you wanted to because you set a goal and just locked in.
yeah.
I think you have to.
So do you feel like, because I'm big on like focus and I'm big on like inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So like how, because you both of them are necessary. Because if you go into a job and you're just like, I'm gonna kind of have my head half down, half up,
Mhm.
you know, you might not get as far as just being 100% focused. I compare it to like you're either like a light, just like shining everywhere, like everybody gets a little bit of you, or you're like a magnifying glass and you can like burn a hole.
I like the visuals.
Oh, that's
I like
Yeah.
it a lot.
good. I like that.
Like you're focused. And there's a book like The One Thing.
Mhm.
You can really only handle so many things. So the analogy I just thought of is like if you're swimming, you kind of have your direction, but like you're swimming and your head's down most of the time, you're breathing, and then every once in a while you have to poke it up and like make sure.
See where you're at.
Yeah, I feel like you guys, your trip, correct me if I'm wrong, you're kind of like poking your head up. Am I like in the right direction, you know, that I
Are we
want to
staying
go?
in our lane?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or do we need to like shift it,
Yeah.
you know, a
Mhm.
couple degrees?
I like the analogy because if you come up for air, you're probably slowing the progress. You're probably not hammering towards that,
Yeah.
but it also might give you like,
Yeah.
let's just move that direction a little
Versus
bit.
if your head's up the whole time and you're just doggy
it's
paddling.
slow and
yeah, you'll just
Everybody passes you by.
yeah, yeah, because it is hard. But I feel like when you get back, you'll probably go back into another like focus mode because you've had the time to open up, be enlightened, and you're like, oh no, this is what like fuels me now. Or
Yes.
maybe you're
I
already
love that.
maybe you're on the right spot already. Like maybe it's just like affirming like, hey, like I'm gonna go to the next level when I get back doing the same thing I was doing or whatever. Like you don't know, but
It's always like when you're closing a chapter whether you're selling a house or you're quitting a job,
yeah,
that it's really interesting to look up and what matters is always people to me.
Right.
I just look at, I'm right now, we were just focused on a specific thing and we made some good things happen, but you look up and the relationships that you build in every situation
Mhm.
is what really matters.
right,
And so I think that's been, as you're looking at life, yes, it's all, there are financial or even check the box of things you want to do,
Right.
activity and adventures.
Yeah.
But I think if you really look back, it's the people that matter.
Yeah.
The people that you work with, the people that you coach or coach you, or I don't know. I think about, I never played lacrosse growing up.
Yeah.
And I think about a couple of years ago, one of the guys that was one of my kids' coaches says, we need you to help with, the little guys. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it has been the most fulfilling thing in the world because I care about these kids and they're new kids that I wouldn't have done that with.
Right.
And so I'm just kind of backing up and just saying, I think for me, I'm realizing how important just relationships and people are.
Yeah. Well, and then now you're teaching them how to succeed, and like all the lessons that you've learned in life, you're able to pass that along with them. And it's interesting, family, I think everybody's like family's most important, but we dedicate the least amount of time to family,
Yeah.
our waking hours. Oh, I'm going to be at work. You probably were doing way more than 40 hours a week,
A lot
just
of travel and
nonstop. And so now's the time to catch up on all the missed time or opportunities.
And just get to know each other.
Yeah.
I hate admitting this, but the other day I had our 8-year-old in the car with me and he's a talker. It was just me and him, but it got quiet, and I had this little moment of saying, we're good. And I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but it was just I don't know what to talk to you about.
Right. Yeah.
What else is there to say?
Right.
And Addie's an adventurer and can talk about everything, but just kind of got a little moment. And I'm like, I really am looking forward to knowing you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
just having so we get in the car and not feeling like, oh, what do I say? And
Right.
it's just there was a weird little moment of, I travel a lot for work.
Yeah.
I probably travel 2-3 nights a week right now.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I'm just excited to be home and,
Yeah.
and do this for a little bit and lock in those relationships. So
Yeah. I think you'll look back and be forever grateful.
Well, the other thing is too is that we are just in such a sweet spot because we're so lucky because we have such good boys,
Yeah.
and so that makes just
Mhm.
doing this even better because they're nice and they're fun and they're easy to be around.
Right.
And so we were talking. We've had some. There's other kids that we've seen or been around, and we're just like, if we had those kids,
Yeah.
I don't think we would be able to do this.
Right. Yeah.
It
or
seriously.
even health problems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
because you have an
So
opportunity, you should
fortunate.
take it.
Right.
You just, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's right.
that's
So there's a podcast I want to send you guys. I was inspired by it. So it's, I think Aaron Singerman and Rob Bailey. Aaron Singerman created the 10 family Singerman rules, almost like the 10 commandments, but for his family. And so and they put it everywhere, and every night they recite it, but just going over hey, Singermans love their family and always put family first. And so every night they're
cute.
just going through their family motto, or I don't know what you'd call it, almost like the commandments for your family and what you want if there's 10 things that you could pass down to your kids and what you want them to know, or even you could do it for this trip, hey, these are our 10, this is our life philosophy for the next year. And just if one of them's to never give up, or you can do hard things, be remember rule number 5 on
yeah.
Stuart's never give up, or whatever it is. And then you can always, it's just, I think as parents, we have such a cool, unique opportunity to teach kids and raise them, and especially traveling, because I'm every country is known for has their strengths. And so if you were in Japan and they do kickboxing and taekwondo, put them in a class, go learn that with them. It'd be
Yeah.
so cool
Yes.
while you're there, and you're
I'm in.
twice a week you're going to this class with your kids, and you're just experiencing things that you
With them.
with them. And
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Instead of having to be the parent,
yeah,
So much of parenting these days is dropping your kid off at practice.
right.
I'm really stoked about being in it with them,
Right.
and just right alongside of them.
You're I've never done this before, but we're
Yes.
gonna go
Yeah.
for it.
I'll go be vulnerable in front of you.
Yeah.
Fall on my butt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's funny. That was yesterday. You can see the things on my face. I went to the dermatologist, and this was the thought I had. And she's she comes in, she's are we in for a full body or just partial body? And I'm what's the full body until? She's head to toe. So naked examination. I'm I've never done that before. I'm full body, let's do it.
All in.
Putting yourself out of
Right.
your comfort zone. And Sarah
Yes.
Blakely is the same way. I remember when her dad, she had, I don't know when she said this, but she said like around the dinner table, her dad would be like, "Hey, what'd you guys fail at today? Like, what'd you try and like didn't succeed at?" And they'd go around and share a story, and he'd be like, "Oh, awesome! Like knuckles or good job," congratulating them on trying and not succeeding. Because like if you try enough, eventually you will succeed. So there's just so much that I think you guys will take away from this.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited to hear.
Take a shot, man.
Yeah. So we'll have you back on in a year
Love
and
it.
see
Deal.
what you learned. And yeah,
We'll come back and report.
Yeah.
I think we'll be different people.
Yeah.
Tell you what not to do.
Yeah.
Tell you what to do.
No, I love it. And then I think we should end with what's the bracelet you have on? Make room for.
Make space for the miracle.
Yeah. See what miracles you've come across.
Yeah.
Got to give it room.
I love it, guys.
Oh, thanks, Peter.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
for letting us in.
thanks for coming on. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.